Welcome back to Ski Special and welcome back to Lake Louise. Day 2 of the women's racing in Canada and the first Super G of the World Cup season. We pick up the action with starter number 6, Hilde Gerg of Germany. Only once a winner in World Cup, and it was in this discipline in Sierra Nevada in 1994. Her season has begun very promisingly though, and she's finished 3rd in the opening giant slalom of the season. Germans with so much depth in talent in their Women's World Cup. Sightseeing the winner the day before in the downhill, and Gerg about to set a very fast time indeed in the Super G. Hilde Gerg just gets better and better, and with Sightseeing, Gerg and Martina Ertl all seemingly on unstoppable form this season, you wonder if the Germans may dominate the World Championships this year in Sierra Nevada, in Sestriere. A full second ahead of the rest. Hilde Gerg a little late on the final turn, and it was a matter of time as to whether that would eventually prove her downfall. A long way ahead of Merlin, 1.51 seconds in fact, and a long wait now for Hilde Gerg to see if she'd taken another World Cup win. Well, one racer that she would have been certainly concerned about was Martina Ertl. Ertl, though, has missed part of the beginning of the season with a knee injury and is now having to ski with a weighty knee brace on her left knee. It's taking her a little while to adjust to the new feeling. Didn't race the downhill the day before, and made a couple of mistakes in the Super G. Gerg's time on the left appeared to be safe, but only just 93.2 kilometers per hour. Martina Ertl skiing with her usual fearless abandon. Good jump and a very quick transition from flight to aerodynamic tuck position, and she narrowed the margin to just 1/100th of a second. But then this mistake, she got sideways on the snow, almost horizontal, lost all her speed and momentum, and Gerg's lead was safe. Martina Ertl so close and yet so far. Then it was the turn of another zebra-striped skier, this time Katja Sightseeing, looking for 2 in a row. She dominated this discipline of Super G last season, winning the World Cup Super G title. And if confidence ever had anything to do with it, and she was almost guaranteed to win here in Lake Louise in the Super G. Things don't usually go like that though in the world of skiing. And Sightseeing seemed to be just celebrating the previous day's downhill win and not pushing too hard through the Super G course. A long season ahead, and taking risks can often result in picking up an injury. And Sightseeing, I think, was sensible just to hold back slightly. 92.3 kilometers per hour, but outside the time of her teammate Hilde Gerg. If Sightseeing could hold on to that sort of speed, then the Germans were on for a clean sweep, a 1-2-3, and that hadn't happened to them since 1993 in a giant slalom in Norway. 4/10 down, the difference growing in favour of Hilde Gerg. She waited patiently at the bottom for the German team leader to finish. It was a very close run thing. Sightseeing went second, and the Germans had all 3 podium positions at that stage. Next up was Heidi Zerbriggen, who had finished an excellent 5th position the day before, looking to go one better. The weather had suddenly turned for the worse though, and Zerbriggen was probably hampered by a sudden lack of visibility. Quick change of goggles at the top, but to no avail. Although at the first split point time, she was very close indeed. 200ths inside the time of Hilde Gerg. Possibly Gerg about to have her victory taken away by the Swiss number 1. Heidi Zerbruggen now on her 10th year of World Cup, and whenever she races, she gives it 150%. Sadly for her, on day 2 in Lake Louise, that wasn't quite enough. And a little bit of lack of speed on the flat section of the course resulted in Hilde Gerg holding on to the lead. .122.43 was safe. Zerbruggen at least had prevented the German clean sweep. Bib number 16 was being worn by Anita Vactor. Hadn't enjoyed the previous day's downhill particularly, certainly not her favourite discipline, but she started aggressively enough here in Lake Louise. And when the clock stopped for the first time, we got the feeling that Vactor was about to cause a bit of a shock. Former World Cup overall champion, victories previously in giant slalom, Super G and slalom, and in the combined, and on course at the early guideline for another win here in Lake Louise. Anita Vactor can never be discounted. Despite her waif-like build, she's increasingly capable of accelerating the skis faster than just about anybody else, which is important. But on the flat sections, she lost a little bit of time and was unable to maintain the momentum sufficiently to mount a serious challenge to Hilde Gerg's lead. Vactor tucked in for the line. Gliding, not her forte, and that's where she let herself down. Third at that stage. Eventually finishing the race in 6th position. Last season, when finishing a Super G in Vézona, Florence Masnada of France crashed just after she'd crossed the finishing line and dislocated her hip. It was a horribly sickening accident, and we all were very concerned for her recovery. Well, she launched a wonderful recovery, came back and is now fully fit at 100%. Spurred on possibly by Carole Montier's result the previous day, when her teammate picked up a second in the downhill on this hill. Masnada was looking to continue the French celebrations and going for her second ever World Cup win, the last one coming 2 seasons ago in a Super G in Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Germany. 400ths outside, the blink of an eye away from another World Cup win for Florence Masnada of France. Just stood a little tall coming off the final roller, and that could have made the difference between first, second and third. It was second at that stage. She eventually finished the race off the podium in 4th, but gave notice that she is fully recovered. Pernilla Wiberg then began her race. Wiberg has won Super G before, but not for 3 seasons. She's better known these days as a slalom skier, and even as a downhill skier, having finished 3rd here the previous day. The training that she got from Peekaboo Street and Pernilla and Hilary Lint during the summer seems to have paid dividends, and Pernilla Wiberg attacked the course like nobody before her. The bib number 22 seemed to be the ideal position to start from, but when we saw the time difference at halfway, it looked very good for the Swede. Freddie Newberg had already won the giant slalom the day before in Breckenridge for Sweden. Wiberg had already picked up her second best ever downhill result by finishing 3rd, and she wanted a win here in Lake Louise. Hilde Gerg by this stage was aware that Pernilla Wiberg posed the biggest threat yet, and 3/4 of the way down the hill, her advantage had grown to well over half a second. A little mistake coming into the finish, but look at the way she tucked in and drove for the line Wiberg crossed ahead of Hildegard by 0.31 of a second. Pernilla Wiberg, the #1 Swedish skier for some 6 or 7 seasons now, back on fabulous form this year. Well, there was one more surprise to come, and it came from the Russian downhill specialist, Varvara Zelenskaya. I said in my commentary, actually, on this race yesterday, that I didn't think she had the potential to do anything here, but I was wrong. Zelenskaya was looking to make up for the disappointment of yesterday. She's never really been known as a Super G skier. She's obviously been working on going left and right in the closed season. She was only 0.42 away from Wiberg's time, traveling at a speed just short of 100 kilometers per hour. Masnada was concerned as well, because Zelenskaya could well have been about to take away her podium position. Wiberg would have been reasonably confident, especially when she saw the mistake that Zelenskaya made within about 50 yards of the finishing line. She flew over this roller here, stood tall, and almost went into the barriers. Somehow she got herself back on line and crossed the finishing line just behind Pernilla Wiberg. Third place, with Hildegard sandwiched between the two of them in second. So the podium saw Pernilla Wiberg all smiles on the highest step. Hildegard almost had it, but not quite. She was second. And Zelenskaya, the biggest shock of them all. In third, Florence Masnada was one of 4 French in the top 15. Sightseeing